Welcome protege to this tutorial on how to use plots, which are very important because they help showcase your results, giving your audience a better understanding of the data. Before, we showed you how to generate matrices manually and randomly by using the functions rand and randi. But there's also another way to create a row vector, and I'll just go ahead and type it out and then I'll explain the arguments. This first argument is the starting point of your row vector. In this case, it will start at 1. The second argument is your increment. In this example, we will start at 1 and increment by 1, and our last argument is our ending number. Again, this is your start number, this is what you increment by, and this is your ending number. And this should give us 100 values since we're incrementing by 1 from 1 to 100. And this increment can be whatever value you want. Our new increment value is 0.01 from 1 to 100. And if we look at the row vector here, you can see it starts at 1, then it goes to 1.01, 1.02, and so on until you get all the way to 100. But for this video, I'm going to plot sine and cosine. I'm going to create a new row vector. I'm going to start at 0, increment by 0.01, and end at 2 pi. Since one cycle of sine and cosine is from 0 to 2 pi. I like to put the semicolon at the end because it always returns a bunch of values that I don't care to see. And to use plot, simply type plot, and I'm going to do sine of y. And it will pull up this figure window. So here we have figure 1, and it plots a sine function with an amplitude of 1 from 0 to 2 pi. I'm going to keep that open, and I'm going to plot the cosine function. But notice how when I plotted the cosine function, overrided our previous sine function. See, we still have figure 1, but now we plotted the cosine function from 0 to 2 pi. And to fix that, I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this figure window, plot your sine function again. So we have figure 1 showing our sine wave. Type figure, which will create a new figure window. So notice we still have figure 1, and now we have a new figure 2. And then go ahead and plot your other cosine function. Instead of having multiple figure windows open, you can plot this cosine function on the same figure as the sine function. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of these. And to do that, you first want to use hold on. This creates the figure window. Then you want to plot your first function. Notice that it plotted. And go ahead and type in plot your second cosine function. So we get 2 lines on the same in the same figure. And notice that we don't have a title or X and Y labels. And these are very important when you're presenting your work to someone else because they need to be able to interpret the data easily. And to do that, you can either go to this X label and you can type in whatever here. You can also do a Y label, add a title, a legend, but I'm going to show you how to do that in the command window. And once you're done plotting your sine and cosine plots, then you can specify the title, X label, Y label, and the legend. To specify the title, use title and then pass in a string, which is your title. So I'm going to do sine of X and cosine of X. Don't forget to add the single quotes. Just hit enter. It added the title for us. We can also do the X label. This also takes in a string. I'm just going to call that X. And next we have the Y label, which I'm going to call amplitude. And I also want to add a legend since we have two lines, so we want to be able to distinguish which line is which. And to do that, type in the name of the plot that you plotted first. So we plotted sine of X. So this needs to be sine of X here. And this is just a comma separated list. Next you can specify the location, and it uses compass headings. And I want it to be in the top right, and to do that you would put in northeast. To put it in the bottom right, that would be southeast. Let's go ahead and look at the plot. And we now have a graph that is easy to interpret. You can also click on the legend and move it. And after you're done creating this figure window, remember that we have hold on, so we want to go ahead and turn that off. If we keep plotting other functions, we don't want to keep concatenating them to the same figure window. And it'll refresh the figure 1. I'm going to X out of that. Next, I'm going to show you how to create multiple figures on one window. You first want to type in figure. This will create a window for us. Then use a function called subplot. And this takes 3 arguments. The first 2 are the dimensions of your subplot. I'm going to create a 2x1 figure window. So do 2, 1, and then specify the position of your first plot. And this is position 1. Then plot your sine function. Let's go look at it on the plot. And this generates the sine function in position 1. So our next graph should end up in this area. Let's go ahead and do that. Or you do subplot again, same arguments here, and then you change the position. So this is now in position 2. And now plot your cosine function. And we now have our sine and cosine function on the same window. I'll give you another example. We can also create a 2x2 figure window. Just change your second argument to a 2. Our first plot will be our sine function, so go ahead and plot that. Then we want to have the second one, which will be in the top right corner. Then plot your cosine function. I'll show you the graph real quick. Notice that we still have this function, but it will get overwritten when we generate our next two plots. But here we have, this is number 1, which is our sine function, and this is number 2, which is our cosine function. Then I'm going to do the subplot for 3, and I'm going to change the amplitude of this sine wave to 2. So just multiply sine times 2 here. Hit enter, and then I'm going to generate the last element of our window. That one is 4, and I'm also going to multiply cosine by 2. And let's pull up the figure, and we now have a 2x2 matrix of figures. And notice this is 2 times sine, and this is 2 times cos, because the amplitude now jumps up to 2. And you can also individually specify the x and y labels of each figure. And to do that, you would do that after every plot function. You can specify a title. Again, you pass in a string. This was 2 cos of y. Specify the x label. Just x. Then we have the y label. Oops. Forgot the single quotes. And notice how it will only apply the x label, y label, and title to this figure. And if you want to do it to every figure, you have to do it after the function you plot. So just to recap what we did in this video, we showed you how to generate a row vector of with a certain increment, and we showed you how to plot the sine and cosine functions in different figure windows. We plotted sine and cosine on the same figure window. We had multiple figure windows. And that's it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and subscribe below or leave a question or comment.